Hey guys, welcome to the Blue Collar Business Podcast, where we discuss the realest, rawest, most relevant stories and strategies behind building every corner of a blue collar business. I'm your host, Sara Kirby, and I want to help you. What it took me, trial and error, and a whole lot of money to learn. The information that no one in this industry is willing to share. Whether you're under that shade tree or have your hard hat on, let's expand your toolbox. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Blue Collar Business Podcast. Sitting here with probably, there's not enough words to describe how I feel about this guest. Probably the most beautiful guest we'll have ever on this show, from my personal take. I'm joined by my wife, my business partner, my CFO of Sy-Con, my mother to two children, one coming in Christmas. She's a mother to every man and woman within Sy-Con and with our employees, and she has been up and down the roller coaster with me since day one, has encouraged and supported not all adventures, but some ventures for sure. A couple of things we're going to be talking about today so you guys get some insight of where this episode's heading. We're going to be talking about managing relationships while working with a spouse, maintaining a healthy work-life balance, which is so vitally important, just man-to-man, but definitely in this relationship, and the influence of running a business together, not just a business growing, but still personally growing together, and alongside the evolving role of women in construction and just the onset of what you guys can and are doing, not only in the field, but all the ladies behind the scenes that are completely engulfed with construction, but are never really shined on. So I hope we take this episode to do that today. And furthermore, I would love to introduce my beautiful wife, Sara Kirby, the CFO of Sy-Con Excavation and Utilities. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
How about that intro?
It's a good one.
Well, Mama, we started this adventure. We'll be 10 years married next month. We've got two beautiful babies, one more coming. We started this adventure together in 2016. Actually, that's Sy-Con, but we had a little bit of history before that in 2014, 2015. Well, late 2014, we kind of decided, the year we got married, correct? 2014. Yeah, 2024.
Yeah.
2014, we kind of decided, like, okay, you were tired of listening to me complain, moan, groan, and just utterly, I don't use the word hate much, but hate every job. I just never saw advancement. I didn't love how I got treated. It wasn't all about making money. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think I think what got me to say yes to starting the business really was the fact that you just weren't happy with the work environment that you were in, whether that was like the municipalities or like the personal or like private sector of the utility game. You just weren't happy with the environment that you were working in. And you just came to me and you're like, I just want a place that people want to come to work and they're happy with where they're working. And so I don't think for me, honestly, like right now, we're not doing it because of the money. Like, no. But it didn't start off that way. I think it was because I wanted you to be happy going to work every day. You know what I mean?
And you ensure that I do every single day. That's a big point too, before we go too far off, is just making sure each other feel okay and feel, happy about and support and want them to be happy no matter what they're doing. You've always encouraged that. And always been the support system, honestly. the quote is, for every great man stands taller with a support system of a great woman. That is no lie. And not saying it's been the perfect 10 years, but it has been a roller coaster of 9 years of business in there, on top of growing a young family in a generation of, we went through COVID together. We went through these hyper inflation and this high cost together. But it's been, overall, I got to say, babe, it's been so much fun. It really has. Just to be very basic about it, it has been so much fun. Stressful is not even a encapsulating word for the environment we have put ourselves in for the last 9 years, and I don't think most people diving off into this would have any clue. Did we? I mean, I know no.
I think that, but I think that's like the joy of it. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody would have come and told us like how stressful and how chaotic and crazy like our lives would have been since we started the company, we would have been like, okay, that, you know what I mean? But the thing is like, it has been fun, and I feel like it's made us both grow on a professional level, but as a person as well. Like, it has solidified our like integrity and our moral standpoints, because while running a business, it's really easy to kind of lose sight of your moral compass sometimes. And so I think that
really good point.
Yeah. But I think that because we've had each other, and there's been like moments that like I've had to kind of check you and you've had 100%. To kind of check me, because it's so easy to kind of get lost in this like world of like running a business, and we are doing what we have to do to like keep the doors open and keep people paid. And, sometimes you just need that like check back in of like.
This perfectly rocks into our first segment, but before we go too much further, I just wanted you guys to check out bluecollarbusinesspodcast.com if a conversation like me and Sara is something that interests you guys. There is, from civil engineers to the blue-collar working man himself on there, and we'll be shooting you guys a weekly episode, and you can check us out. Everything to do with us will be at bluecollarbusinesspodcast.com. So, continuing with that, Mama, and you guys are going to have to get over it because that's Mama Bear over there. A lot of folks call her Boss Lady and Patrona, amigos call her, but balancing professional and personal relationships while working with a spouse, family dynamics in business, and truly running a family-owned, family-ran business nowadays, and especially in this space, I don't believe it's not a thing anymore. It's people, groups, investment groups together, and there's one guy that knows what's really going on and runs it. You know what I mean? But we're truly doing this together. But like you were hinting there just for a second, how do we manage and balance our professional and personal relationships? But I wanted to say this. I'm terrible at it. I know that I'm terrible at it, but it's taken me literally, guys, in the last 2 to 3 years of working on myself. And right now we're going through a time where I'm really bad about it because I'm wearing multiple hats again. And, but we both know why I'm doing it. And sometimes I didn't take the time to clearly state that to you and say, hey, Mama, I'm doing all these phone calls. I literally crawled into bed talking on the phone at 9:00 on Monday. I hate that I didn't get to spend an hour of time with you, but you know that with me taking the time and doing all of this hopefully sets up the rest of our week, and at the end of the month you got money to pay everybody and turn that ship around. So I gotta say for the guys on this side of the table, gentlemen, you have got to watch. Especially if you're in this spouse business relationship, you need to watch yourself. Your delivery of your message is not just, hey, I'm providing for you and I'm protecting you and I go to work every day and I work all this hard. You should love me. And I think we get caught up in that a lot of times as a man where we feel like, we're going out in 100-degree heat. You should definitely have dinner on the table and breakfast cooked and lunch packed, and that's all fine and dandy. But when we got 3 kids, there's laundry to be done for 5 individuals, and there's laundry to be put away and things to be cleaned and it's constant. And I don't think we open up our eyes. And I sorry to just cut you off here. I know I asked you a question, but I wanted to get this out first, that from this side of the table, a load of laundry, a clean sink goes a long ways at home. While taking that phone call, don't just sit there on the couch, just be involved when you get home. And I think that's the number one complaint you've had with me. And I forget sometimes, and I get so caught up in making sure there's enough money so you can pay so-and-so so the boys can get pipe and the guys can get gravel and et cetera, et cetera. But talk about kind of how you manage that personal, because it's so different from your side of the table.
It is, but I think it's something that we've worked through and that I've had to kind of understand that it's not, a few years ago, I would say like, okay, from 7 to 4, it's work time. And then when we get home, I need, 4 to 7 to be family time. And I've had to come to the realization that it's not necessarily like, it's not when you get home, you turn off the business, but it's both of us kind of coming to an understanding that the reason why we're doing this at the end of the day is for our family. And, I kind of want to go back a little bit to what you were saying about how, there's not a lot of family-owned businesses, but in our industry, I feel like there are, but it looks a lot different than what we do. Like, it's people that started it a generation or 2 generations before, and it's being passed down. But like for us, we kind of started it together, and we kind of had to establish the company. And while doing that, it's hard to do that and build a family. And we did that all together. I mean, you started the company, and within the first week, I found out I was pregnant with our first. And so right from the get-go, we were like, let's just go full steam ahead on all aspects of our life. And for the first few years, like, I was not interested in being a part of Sy-Con. But as our family kind of leveled out and I figured out my role in like motherhood, I was able to kind of like step in and help you with Sy-Con.
Oh, I needed it desperately too.
Yeah. But I was able to really kind of take over this stuff that you weren't able to, but it took me a lot of years. I would say only here in the last like 2 or 3 years that I felt comfortable in our work-life balance. And
what were those areas that you took over? Not to go too far, but into the weeds, but kind of
like the admin stuff. So like invoicing, receivables, payables, insurance, bonds, really anything.
Contracts.
Yeah, really anything in the admin world.
Anything that I had to stop and read.
Yeah, it was just not going to happen. It was just not going to happen. And I kind of knew that, like, if we were going to grow, somebody was going to have to do it. And so, like, at that point, we did not make money enough to, like, pay somebody. So, like, that was me. But, like, it's hard working with your spouse. And we make jokes in the office that we have like business conversations, which like in our office, a business conversation means that we take like the spousal feelings out of the conversation, and we're just business partners. And we leave that at the business. We don't take it home. It's not something that we like carry back to our house. But it's hard to do that. It is so hard to do that, and to be able
on a
to
continued basis, consistently.
Yeah.
There's some days we're better. Some days we just fail.
Yeah.
On me as well. Some days I'm just so waxed from the 80, 90 phone calls.
There's
It's just
days
like,
that I just want to like
and I just want to sit there.
squeeze your neck.
And
you
the
know?
same here.
I know.
When I'm
I know.
like,
It's
if
hard
you could
to
just
run a
do
business
this
with your
for
spouse.
me, man, everybody is calling me right now.
I know, but
Then that's part of running a business
it is.
and trying to do media and sales and marketing, etc. But the work-life balance is hard.
It is hard, and I
It
think
never
that
shuts off.
no, it doesn't. But there's times that I have to be in the office more, that I need more attention put on the business than the family, and I think in those times, it is because we support each other. Like when I need to focus more on the business, you step in to the family role more so. And like right now, you're wearing more hats in the business. And so I am more, I'm not going to say I like step out of the business, but I take
Somebody's
my role
gotta be
as
there.
a family, you know what I mean? And so it's like, I think that it's just leaning on each other, you know what I mean? And just knowing that, and not building that resentment, because like Monday, you worked late and then you came home and you brought work home with you. And it's so easy to be like, holy cow, like put it down. Like just pay attention to the family, pay attention to me, you know, but it doesn't work like that. And if
Every one of those phone calls was vital for the guys to spin tracks the next day.
yeah,
And that's what's
not even
hard.
just the next day, but just like, I know that you're not going to put your focus on something that is meaningless and take away from the family. You know what I mean? And so like,
Right.
so I think it also is like a trust. Like when you have to focus on Sy-Con, when you have to focus on work and you bring those things home or you work late, I don't feel like you're doing so in a manner to avoid being a home with the family. I mean, like, but there were years that I was like, okay, so you would rather be in a machine, you'd rather be on a phone call, you'd rather
That's so
be doing
real,
something
man.
else. But now I understand that there are still times that I have to like tell myself, I'm like, no, he's not just trying to avoid being a daddy. He is, putting forth effort. And sometimes I do have to remind you. Like sometimes you do
Yeah,
get your
absolutely.
head spun out, and I have to remind you, like,
Currently.
yeah. But I mean, it's part of it, and I think that that's part of like doing it together, like being married.
Also prioritizing every moment for us. I mean, everybody is just going to call me right now. I love it. I think it's also prioritizing what's going on in life as well. You have to remember, although you're a business owner and you feel like it is absolutely calling you it can call you in any direction at any point at any time.
Yeah.
An hour ago, we're dealing with Jim. I'm dealing with 4 or 5 issues that can totally be dealt with the people that should be dealing with them. But they need answers from me. Jim blowing a couple of tires on the lowboy. Those are immediate. Like, we have people that we pay that we've got to deal with. Those are those immediate fires that you have to put out and we have to jump on a lot of times. But having your priorities in line, Sara knows that if she were to call me at any point during the day and there's something wrong with the babies, it doesn't matter what's going on.
Yeah.
It's an immediate, what are we doing? What's the plan? How are we getting there? Who's doing what? And for a lot of years, those priorities were there. They were shown differently from my side of the table. It was like I started this conversation off with is I think, from being on that machine till 8 o'clock to make sure we got money to pay this or that is how I feel like I should show love. And I need you to understand that. But at the same time, that's not how you receive love. Mm-hmm. And it took years for us to figure out love languages that worked, let alone building a business and dealing with all those stresses. Just communication sure does help.
Yeah.
We have this little jingle where me and Sara have we ask ourselves, as you guys may get this or not, but in the marital space, you expect your spouse to read your mind a lot of times. And we do have some crazy telepathy, but at the same time, when there's major things going on about how we're going to handle this bond situation or what are we doing on this machine, I just went and rented $50,000 worth of gear for this project. That is something we need to have a conversation on. That is in the business sense. But at the same time, those personal feelings, anything that I know she's dealing with in a personal sense, I want to take care of those first because I got to have my priorities. Now I can show them a little bit different because I've learned her love language. And just to go off a little bit in the personal sense there, but the business sense, I've been all drive. And yes, I expect Sara to understand in every moment and every capacity that she should just automatically understand that I need to be doing this or that, or I need to be backfilling this ditch before the rain. But I've got to say, as she's plugged into Sy-Con in the last 3 to 4 years, I can say things like I would be saying it to Dakota or Sam, one of our superintendents, and she understands that the implications and the consequences that come if I don't get that done right then. Mm-hmm. And it's less of a conversation, but it's taken her to come up to my education level, but it's also me taking the time when these things arise and explaining the full thing, even though it's frustrating for me, and I've said it 65 times that day, I want you to know so the next time we run into this situation together, we can attack it together rather than that resentment you talked about, build that resentment so quick and basically figure out what's our next move together. Always.
No, absolutely. One, I think that it's just that's part of doing it together.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I love doing it together with you. I wouldn't, honest to God, do it. I wouldn't. I tell this is such a key point, and I'm going to kind of speak freely here for just a moment. But there's a lot of folks in business that have a hard time building a business just being single. And having all that time to focus on nothing but the business. I could only imagine what I could do if I could work from 6 a.m. to midnight every night.
I know, but the thing is like, you could do that and you would be great, but you'd be great at it for a couple of years.
But what I'm getting at is that building a family while building this business, I don't think I could keep that workload.
Oh, yeah, no.
I wouldn't have no purpose for that workload.
Yeah.
Well, what am I doing it for?
Yep.
For me, for selfish reasons. Hey, look at me. Look what I've built. And I've built this 100%, this business and this dream and this chasing this goal was to be able to provide for my family within me, no one else. This is what we've done together. And man, have we failed and learned some hardcore lessons together and ate $50,000 sandwiches and $100,000 sandwiches along the years to get where we're at. But at the same time, we did it together. And you always are there to bring my chin up on days that I'm just like you were talking about how, we step into family roles or we step into business roles on either side of our table. It's the same sense that when I'm getting down, I'm getting depressed. I'm thinking all negative because everything in my world is negative. You share some positivity in your world. And then past the business sense, I always try to ensure that you're okay past the business sense, like to the point of annoyance where, hey, are you okay? Are you okay? And that's not just a, hey, are you okay? As in, hey, how was your day? Normally I should have already asked that. That's one of those reoccurring things that I try to ensure I do. But what I'm getting at is that it's just hard to find the time, let alone you have to make the time. Conscious effort. How was your day? Okay, something's still off with her. I want to make sure she's okay as mama bear and as my wife. Negate. Doesn't matter if we need to make $500,000 appear tomorrow or $100,000 or we need to land this contract and it's going to be the biggest thing. That all stops. And sometimes I fail at that. And I think sometimes we both fail at that, but I think we both succeed in noticing it at the right time and going, oh, he needs a pick me up. He needs a, hey, little reminder, you're who you are. Little Bible verse on the mirror goes a long way. And that's a lot of to your love language of the little notes in the car or once every couple of months. It just out of the blue, I write a note here or there, but we're 10 years into this. This isn't like a year or two. Like, you've got to be intentional with those things. And a lot of things, just the way you do them at home to prepare me for the workspace needs to also be noted. You do so many things at home wearing that family hat, building this family hat as I was building the business. Kudos, 100%. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate you going through all of that to get to here. But it's just now, it's still not super fun, but it's fun to do with you, babe. Seriously. And I want you to understand that. So moving on just a little bit. The role of women. I know this is a topic that you stand firmly on. I don't know. I'll share a little bit about my wife, but she is hyper independent. She is 100% do not dare think that I can't do this. I will prove you wrong every single time. But the women in the field, I've ran into a bunch of women in the field, women truck drivers now, dump truck drivers, women truck drivers, HVAC, electric. There's plenty of social media spaces out there, Instagram, TikTok, that shows women doing more blue collar tasks. But to your point, babe, is there's so many women behind the scenes that are in the construction trade, AP, AR, that have to know the construction knowledge of what's in these blue collar men's mind, but still dress white collar and go into the office every day. They're those women and these offices that I think a lot of businesses definitely miss, is that the office is there to serve the field, because the field is what covers their own money. They've got to make enough money to cover us as well. So we've got to build this support system. And
but I mean, alongside that, when we were working residential, when we were doing small stuff, we didn't need somebody in the office. But in the industry and the growth that we have made, we now could not do our job. We couldn't send boys out to the field. We couldn't do the things that we're currently doing if we did not have a solid staff in the office really truly backing up these boys. And I know it's frustrating sometimes when it's 100 degrees outside and you're getting a call from the office and they're like complaining and like getting on to everybody about clocking in or turning in paperwork or
daily logs.
Yeah. But it's truly like a give and a take, because if it wasn't for the boys in the field, we wouldn't need the ladies in the office.
That's right.
And if we didn't have the ladies in the office,
The boys in the
the
field
boys
would be
in the
hosed.
fields wouldn't be doing what they're doing. You know what I mean? And I think that it's almost forgotten. I wouldn't say forgotten, but it's almost like looked over.
It's not celebrated near enough.
Yeah, that the things that happen in the office, I stepped into this role knowing nothing. Nothing about utilities. I could almost, if you gave me a fire line, all the parts to it, I could pretty much put it together.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
would it be 100%? Would it be 100%? Probably not. But like the mechanics of it, how the pieces go, like I know that because of what I've done in the office and what I've had to learn. And it needs to be celebrated what happens with the women in blue collar, because you have to have that supportive role to keep things rolling.
There's no way I would be.
Yeah. But you don't have women that are like, okay, I know exactly how to run a sewer line, or I know, why it matters if you have a 3-foot bucket on your excavator or a 2-foot bucket on your excavator. Like women don't have that knowledge because they're not in the field. But women that work in the blue collar industry, a lot of the times they're in the admin roles. But they have to learn that information. And let me tell you, if somebody calls me and tells me, yo, Sarah, I got a 3-foot bucket on this excavator and I got 200 foot of sewer line to run, and it was bid with a 2-foot bucket, I'm going to be making sure that come hell or high water, we get a 2-foot bucket out there, because I'm not paying for that extra material to go back in that ditch. You know what I mean? And
yes,
so
ma'am.
It's like, I think that it needs to be noted that the boys in the field doing the work, 100%, it needs a light shined on them, because it's not glamorous. It's not great. It's hot and sweaty and dirty. It's not fun work all the time. Mm-mm. But also, there's always a group of people, and it doesn't have to be women. I'm not just saying women, but there's a group of people that are in the back room, supporting those people and making sure that they have what they need. They have the documents that they need, the
Materials.
Contracts. Yeah, the contracts are signed so that the work they're doing, they're going to get paid for it. And that's what I do. And so,
and you do it unbelievably well.
I don't know about that. I've got trial and error,
We've learned, well, I mean, how else were we supposed to learn? There wasn't some podcast or YouTube channel out there for any utility or excavation companies like there is now. By the way, shout out, shameless plug, Sy-Con Excavation and Utilities YouTube channel. But that's exactly why we've started this podcast, is for these conversations right here, for folks to understand that there are folks trying to celebrate them, and there are women in construction groups that have reached out to you. Obviously, we're a little bit busy with everything that we've got going on, but I think it would be the more celebration that the back office can get and shined in the construction industry, but nobody wants to talk about what they do, how they do it.
And hey, the women that are out there doing the hard work, yeah, no, absolutely. Like, kudos to y'all, because I couldn't do it. Like, 100%. I couldn't get in a ditch. I couldn't do 90% of the things that our boys do on a daily basis. And so, like, applause. Seriously.
Kudos.
Like, yeah, no, absolutely. But it's not only women that are out there doing it. There's a lot of women that are a part or attached to the blue collar industry that also need to be, I'm not even saying like celebrated. It's not like, a job's a job. Like, hey, I show up to work every day. I don't need to have a slap on my back about it, but we need to notate, that there's a lot of stuff that goes behind the scenes to make the work happen.
Man,
you know what I mean?
There's so many tasks that need to happen before the boys even step on foot.
Yep.
Drop a tractor, anything like that, to get them, especially in our working area, as it's a new metropolis that's really starting to take off and do its thing. People are learning things. Cities are always evolving and changing and adapting. And
let me tell you, if a city does not have regulations and rules, like I am like in a weird position about it. You know what I mean? Because like half of me is like, heck yeah, let's go work there because it's easy. And then half of me is like,
oh, how am I going to get screwed in the long run?
They need some help. We need to get some rules and regulations in there. But that's a whole another cup of tea.
Guys, I hope you're truly enjoying me and Sarah's conversation through the fire alarm, through the paying for tires in a different state, etc. You guys can find a whole bunch more info in the blue collar space that nobody's willing to share you at bluecollarbusinesspodcast.com. Honey Bear, running this business together over the last almost decade now. We've got one more year. We're in year 9, starting this. Yep. We've passed this month. We are in year 9. How does it influence my growth, your growth as people, let alone business owners, entrepreneurs? I'm telling you.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
I want to know how you see maybe just us together, but maybe you can speak on me and I can speak on you. The personal growth you've seen us make as a couple, as a family, but also as entrepreneurs.
I think that running a business, it really brings out the true self, and you really get to see someone's morals and integrity and the nitty-gritty of someone and their drive. You know what I mean? And so
Ambition.
Yeah. And I think that I've seen this business take you down to your knees time and time again. And I've also seen this business boost you so high, and so I think that it's about learning how to kind of understand how to run a business, keep your integrity, your morals in a place that you agree with, that are aligned with you, and run it long term. I mean, your personal growth just in this business, organizational wise, oh my good God. I'm so thankful that we finally figured out how to run a notebook. I appreciate it so much. But there's so many other aspects of it, you know what I mean? And those are things that you would have never ever done if you were working for somebody else. If you had a regular job that you went and clocked in to. And so there's...
It would take me a lot longer to gain why I would want to be able to do that.
Exactly. And I mean that I'm just using that as one...
No, I know exactly what you mean.
Tool because
I hated your lists 10 years ago.
Well, the amount of notebooks and binders and freaking clipboards that I have bought you and sent you in your truck, and then they'd end up in the dash and never to be seen again. And you were like, stop wasting money on it. And then finally one day it just clicked that if I write it down, if I make a list, if I have my thoughts on paper, it will help everything go a little smoother. That's one thing that I appreciate so much about Sy-Con is just your willingness to get organized. You know what I mean? But there's been so many, but it's because of Sy-Con that you have gone decided that that's what you need. You know what I mean? And I don't know, it's hard because you have grown so much, and I feel like we've both grown so much running this business. I honestly could not even imagine where we would be at.
I don't either. And thank you for the kind words, but there's so many things I could list about how you've grown in the last 9 years because of the business. But the number one thing I've got to say is the way you move with people now, and the way your attitude and your drive, and how, because you weren't a people person to begin with, and being in your role, you have to be able to wear this hat to that hat to this hat, and you were so incredibly uncomfortable with the thought of having to talk to this person about this subject. And now you pick up the daggum phone and I'm like, hey, whoa, calm down. You're quick to jump on the phone and deliver bad news, but you're always there to celebrate good news. Your organizational methods from 10 years ago have finally sunken into me, so it may take another 10 years if there's something else you're trying to get me to do, but
just stick to it.
I wish I would have listened to you 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when you were screaming about systems and standards, operating procedures, and having these systems in place for not just accounting, but where the front of house talks to the back of house and sets basically what they can bill and how we receive and what the contract parameters and amendments up. I mean, there's so many things you had to learn and grasp, and as you were learning them, you were seeing, hey, if we don't put a system in place, if we don't put this procedure in place, it's all going to run amok. And it did for a couple of years because I didn't listen, and I just kept growing, and I just we can do this. We can get this track going and do this. Let's go buy 4 dump trucks, or let's add a load boy. Let's add a whole dirt company. Let's add a YouTube channel. Let's do a pod. I could never just, hey, you're right. Take the reins back in a minute. Let's worry about that bottom number a whole lot more than the top number. Although there was underlying reasons why we chased revenue so hard quickly past that year 4 mark. Mm-hmm. We knew we didn't want to stay the size we were. And for us to make the jump that we had to do, I remember clearly sitting you in that 138 in front of Power Equipment in August of 22. Yes, they're 2 years old this month. 210 to 138 in the wheel loader. And I remember clearly you looking at me like, we really doing this? But back then I knew I was begging Sarah, if we don't go and get some equipment, we are going to be renting ourselves stupid. Yeah. Literally. And we were at that time. The business was telling us at the end of the year, you rented this much. Thank God to your organizational of your P&L and your learning skills of that, how quickly that.
Google Academy. Yeah,
YouTube University. Yeah. And I knew I spent $80,000, $180,000, whatever it was, on this excavator, this weight of excavator, this much on a backhoe wheel loader situation, whatever. So we knew. I looked at Sarah and I said, hey, interest rates are fixing to go through the roof. There's no doubt about it. If we don't go buy our gear right now when it's still sitting at 0%, we don't know where this is going to go. Oh my God, what do we do? Yeah. And we went up there and you had total faith in me and you were like, let's go do this. And here we are 2 years later with that wadded $750,000 investment that me and you made together and just signed our little own names, and just on some equipment. And it's just crazy to think back to the decisions we made. We made some wrong ones. I made some wrong ones for dang sure, and you standing beside me while I made them, but you felt confident in any decision I made.
Oh, I knew some of the decisions you were making were wrong. But here's the deal. It's like Sy-Con has been your baby since the very beginning. And so sometimes it takes walking down the wrong path and learning the things that we have to learn from it to
shape us.
Never, to know why we don't walk down those paths again. So, like, you know.
I just wish I had some more people in my ear, like, or a place to listen, podcast to listen to that actually talks about real and raw information about what they're going to go through and transpire. And over the a decade, if you can keep going a decade and grow through that period, it's a lot to take on and figure out and grow a family through. Finishing up here, sweet lady, what's a takeaway for the blue-collar worker who is stuck, dead in the water, just tired of being stuck in the mud, maybe literally, because that's kind of our space. But what about the foreman out there who thinks he's never going to make it or advance? What do you see from your position? You see blue-collar men and women. You hear me talk about the things that they struggle with. What's the things that you see that they could take away from this conversation to help them move forward in any parameter?
I don't really know if it's like a part of this conversation, but I mean, the blue collar industry, the blue collar world is so big, and it is daunting and overwhelming at times, but you know, nothing changes if nothing changes. And so, you know, if you are tired of being stuck where you're at, or you feel like there is no hope or way to move past what you're going through right now, start with small changes. You know, like if you are running into constantly not having COs paid for, if you're running into problems like that, start with taking a picture every single day of your job site. You know, when you feel like it doesn't matter, take a picture. Take a picture. You know what I mean? Like, nothing changes if nothing changes. And so, like, if you feel like you're stuck where you're at and where you don't want to be, find some kind of something to make a change with it. And I can't tell you how many times that we've done that, and it's been frustrating and overwhelming. But, you know, you're never stuck where you're at. It's not over till it's over. And when they're putting you in a box 6 foot under, that's when you know you've done it, all you can do. And until then, just try something different, because, you know, what's the worst that can happen?
And actually consistently do it.
Yes.
Don't just
Consistency, yes. Like, it does take consistency, because in our world, it's a 3-month turnaround. So, like, you just need to,
huge.
You just need to remember. So if you start something for 90 days. And if in 90 days you don't see a positive impact, maybe let it go. Try something different. But whatever you start, stick with it for 90 days. Because in the blue collar industry, everything happens in 90-day cycles.
Everything can change in 3 months.
Yes.
Everything.
Yep. Absolutely.
That is such a good takeaway. Seriously. And I really wanted just to thank you for taking the time to do this, as I've had 15 phone calls. You've had a couple. I know this isn't something you normally traditionally would do. This isn't something that you enjoy doing, getting in front of the camera. But in front of everyone, I truly can't tell you how much I appreciate you, Mama Bear, for everything that you do. For me, for the family, for everybody at Sy-Con. And I would not have made it this far without you. No doubt about it. And you definitely are owed a lot of credit to anything that's tied to me. So, truly love you, and thank you for your time.
Well, thank you for having me. I love you too. Well, I would not be doing this if it wasn't for you. So,
we've got some exciting stuff coming up in the future. Man, we've got engineers. If you've enjoyed this episode at all, whatever platform you're on, drop a like or drop a follow. And if not, you can catch everything at bluecollarbusinesspodcast.com. And until next one, guys, be safe, be kind, be humble. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to give it a like, share it with the fellers, check out our website to send us any questions and comments about your experience in the blue collar business. Who do you want to hear from? Send them our way, and we'll do our best to answer any questions you may have. Till next time, guys.